market today, and as you can see from this rather long list of news, we've got quite a lot going on. Fed speakers at 10, 10:30, 11:30 and just after market closes. They're the most volatile events. We had a bit of news before market and some news at 9, but nothing exciting. Just be a bit wary of these times. If you are watching the main order flow stream, you can see I have a list of news showing here as well under the up and coming news events, so you can keep an eye on that. It says all low volatility, but you know, between that and trading views, it's low or medium, so just be wary. Fed speakers could move the market. Okay, so let's start off with the S&P E-mini futures, and as always, we'll start with the daily time frame. I'm going to work my way down from the dailies. I like to see what's going on the daily, gives us a general idea of the market. Good morning, Mayo. Good morning, Charles. Hope you have a great day also. Appreciate you coming back. As you know, appreciate everybody watching. We are just putting in a new all-time high, aren't we? Yeah, we have 68.01. So 68,000 on the dot was the all-time high from Friday, and we've just broken that right now. I like to look at volume as well. So you can see over the last few days leading into Friday, when we did put in that all-time high, we did have reducing volume into a bigger red day the next day. As prices increasing, volume was decreasing. So that already is an anomaly for me. Like I said, we are in a strong uptrend. I keep saying that every day, and it's tough to really find shorts at the moment. It's tough also to find longs because we're so extended away from this 50 moving average. We're really extended. We haven't got back to home base for some time. The 200 moving average is even further away. It's not even on this chart right now. There you go. That's our 200 all the way back down here, back in those days of 61,000 areas. We're all the way up to 67,000, 68,000 now. So it's tough swings. You know, we are just grinding up with below average volume, and every time we have red days, you can see we're getting above average volume on the red days, above average volume on the red days. But there's nothing to get too excited about on these red days because we're not losing the previous day lows. So even though we had a red candle with increased volume, we didn't lose previous day's lows. So we're definitely not breaking trend. RSI, as we talked about over the last few weeks, is still overbought right now, above the 75-70% area. That's another sign potentially we might have a reversal on the cards, but we can't just think there's going to be a reversal just yet. We need to just let the market do what it does. And being a technical analysis, we look at chart levels and trends and technical analysis, and that's where we get our higher probability entries from. So if we were to have a bit of a daily pullback, the only place I like this is our mark in the sand, you could say 67.52 area, a previous pivot, areas of confidence. We held that area for the last few days as well, and we've got an area we could watch for a potential bounce. Volume wise, there's lack of volume up here obviously because we've never been up there. We're in no man's land. We do have a volume spike immediately below, happens to be where we went sideways for a bit, which you kind of expect a volume spike. That's our confidence area, which we'll see clearly in the hourly, and then the next volume spike is not until we get to the next level of confidence, which is at 66.80, 66.75 area. So nothing really exciting to look at the moment other than we're breaking all-time highs again. Let's drop down to the hourly and pick up some levels on watch today. There you go, that's confirmation of the new all-time high. That's a particular area. I don't short all-time highs ever, because why would you short a strong stock? But I was hoping we were going to put in a bit of a double top to find another top entry, but that's now broken that area, and we got this area. This is my area I was watching today when I looked at my charts about an hour ago, thinking that'd be nice if we can find a rejection up there somewhere, but now we've broken through it. That's off the cards, and now it's more of a break and retest area, yesterday's high. So keep an eye on this 67.99 area, 68,000 psychological number. Because we are so extended, we don't want to just take the break and retest as it retests. We want to take it only on a green candle, looking at the 5 minute, and on increasing volume. So what I'm looking for if we do break this area and come back down, look for a decrease in volume coming down into that area and an increase in volume on the breakout. And I'd only take the breakout on a green candle, not try and go long on a red candle coming into that area. I've left the fair value gaps indicator on. You can see we're indicating that we've got this fair value gap which we've broken out of. Maybe we can watch for an entry down here. Again, fair value gaps are not in my strategy, but I've left it on there because it seems to be that we are getting a lot of bounces from these areas. I am working on a strategy which includes order flow, looking for absorption and potential cumulative delta divergences. But you can see here we had this fair value gap from a few days ago and we generated there, and look how we bounced there, we bounced there yesterday in the pre-market, came back in. So you know, could be something in these fair value gaps. I know a lot of people talk about them, a lot of people trade them, so it's just keeping a note on it. Don't have any strategy just yet to talk about, so I'm not going to go any more into fair value gaps, other than when I was looking at large orders on the limit, on the ask yesterday. I noticed every large order sitting on the limit was at these fair value gaps as well. Let me just bring my large orders over. So this is the indicator. Second, here we go. This is the indicator I show on when we have the live ES order flow. 67.60, 67.60 is around that area, and you can see here fair value gap. 67.50 is this big fair value gap here. You can see we've got it marked up there, just a little bit above. 67.50, we've got a big amount of orders in there, 600 orders, and that's a bigger fair value gap. Funny that. 67.10, 67.10 is just above that line there. Okay, no fair value gap there. 65.01, okay, 65, we're way off of that. But anyway, that's my point. The last few fair value gaps seem to have orders sitting there, so potentially I want to watch them for potential bounce areas. I would be watching large orders anyway, so I just wanted to mention that as well. You know, there could be something in these levels we've got marked up on the screen. If you use TradingView, then the fair value gap indicator, it's not my one, it's a Lux Algo fair value gap, so maybe you want to look into that. If you do see anything and you have any strategies, let me know as well, I'll be interested. Right, so levels for today. I do like I said, even though it's a break and retest of that area, I'm only looking for confirmation, or maybe on an opening range breakout. A break and retest of pre-market high would be great. Break and retest back down into this fair value gap. Again, not a strategy, but that's the area I happen to be watching anyway, the top half of that. 6800, 67.99, and I'm only taking it on increasing volume as it breaks out. That's all I'll be watching for there. Ideally, we want to break and retest a pre-market high. Ideally, we want confirmation such as an opening range breakout as well on the 15-minute. So we want to see the market come in, just go sideways in the first 15 minutes, put in an opening range candle with a decent risk to reward, and then on increasing volume when that candle breaks the opening range, and I want to see an increase in volume on the entry as well. So that's what I'm watching for. If we pull back down into yesterday's low, we happen to have the big volume point of control sitting there, big area of confluence as well. Oh look, a fair value gap again. I won't talk about that any further, but it is a level I'm interested in because it's yesterday's low. I do quite like this area for a bounce. I also do quite like this region below for a bounce as well. Trying to find, so the only place I like for a demand zone will probably be this region here. It's quite a big region, so what is that, not much volume as well, so I'm not overly infused by it, but we do have that pivot there. We do have that pivot there where we broke it and retested, and then we kind of retested in a bit of an uptrend, so that's our uptrend right now. We've also got this sideways. Are we going to put in a bit of a flag, break and retest? That's what I'm looking for. And if we lose pre-market low, yesterday's low, I do quite like the break and retest short. I'm wary that we have these levels, confluence from previous levels, but we are going into reduced volume if we do break down. Other areas, There you go, that's why I've got this level marked out here, because of that pivot, 67.50, that's a good bounce area. Pre-market low, potentially that area there. Yeah, there's not much more really. Looking at volume shelves as well, so let's just draw in our volume shelf from here. That's yesterday's low we just talked about, watching that area for a bounce. Volume shelf below, that's the volume only comes from that area there, and that pivot from the 23rd, because we know there's not a great deal of volume there because we just saw that. So 67.52, 67, 66, potentially where we are now, but it looks like we're breaking through that area. We want to see confirmation of break and retest a pre-market high over new all-time highs, and then if we get back down into this region here, which is around 6700, 6704, I do like that area for the bounce as well. That's the areas I'm watching today, so we're quite far off some of these levels, so patience is what we need to do. Looking at order flow, here we go. So we had these bubbles are showing big buyers coming in, big buyers, market buyers. So coming in, look at this one. This is a significant one here. We had big buyers coming in, but no follow through to the upside, and then we just sold off. So that's basically absorption. You could say there's a little bit of absorption here because we saw sellers come in, and these bubbles are just a very quick overview. You can then compare this with the delta below, so we can see this is a 2 minute, that's a 2 minute aggressive buy-in, another 2 minute aggressive buy-in, and then look at this, we had a big moving candle with absorption at the top with no follow through. And if we were to look at the footprint charts, we can see we had positive deltas coming all the way up, big large deltas, and look at this one, the biggest delta of them all, 902. That means there's 902 more aggressive buying than there were sellers. We've got absorption indicated by that little yellow line above that candle, and you can see the absorption up here as well. So we've got aggressive buyers coming in here, but no follow through, and then the sellers take control on the next one. Massive big minus 530, minus 800. So the sellers are now back in control again. Large orders, we just talked about these large orders. Keep an eye on them. They could be bounce points. 6804 is not all-time high, but we know we've got orders sitting there, limit orders, limit sell orders, and there's, look at that, 889. That's a lot of limit orders. That's unusually high. So potentially that's a big seller sitting there. So that's why be a bit wary. We were looking for a break and retest. Now I've just seen that, I'm going to change my tune a little bit. Break and retest of pre-market high only if we get over that 6804, that big seller sitting up there. This is the reason. Look at that, 6804. Are you listening to me right now? He's just said, oh, they're on to me. So he's just dropped his orders right down to 200. So again, keep an eye on that 6804. So probably, I'd like to think there's somebody out there watching this fit stream which has massive influence in the market, but that's a key area to watch. So we only want to go long if we break over that area today. Again, that's the reason I like watching these large orders, because it gives you a clue of where there could potentially be buyers and sellers. We know we've got loads of buyers sitting here on the ask, we know we've got loads of sellers sitting here on the bid, and that's basically big limit orders. That's why I like to show large orders, and again that's why I like to show it on this chart as well, because you can see the big red line. The thicker the line, the bigger the order basically. I think that's it really to see on there. We don't have any cumulative delta divergences. Look at this, the price was just pushing up, putting in higher highs. At the same time, cumulative delta was pushing up, putting in higher highs, and then we started to put in lower lows on there. So nothing really exciting to look at the moment. Big aggressive selling. The point of controls are good to see as well on these footprint charts. In an uptrend, I like to see the point of control, these yellow boxes, always above each other, always above each other. The moment one of the point of controls is below, then that signifies a potential reversal, and you can see that quite clearly there, and they're now below. So again, another confirmation you can look for when trading if you're looking for reversals. And because I talk about 60 level areas, we are potentially looking at for reversals. So, you know, a reversal generally is always looking against the current trend. So use as many confirmation signals as possible. Okay, back to my main screen. And I'm going to go through the other levels, starting with SPY. SPY, new all-time high, coming into this potential bounce area. Again, if you want extra confirmation, we want for the break and retest long. We do have this pre-market low, yes, it's low area, we can watch for a potential bounce as well. Lining up the volume shelves. We got that volume shelf there. Potentially that's a bounce area. We've got this volume shelf down here. That's yesterday's low area, that's a potential bounce area, similar to what we're watching on ES. And then we've got this volume shelf here, that's that pivot from a few days ago. And we got fair value gap, again, not part of my strategy, but just pointing it out. Potential bounce area, and it's an area confluence. Basically, that's what I'd like to see. We had a double top here on lots of volume, and then basically it's a, you could say that's a supply zone. We came back up, look at that, we rejected it, came back up, rejected that zone before we finally came back, rejected it again, a little tiny candle, broke out, came back and bounced from it. We bounced first time, didn't really get close to it again. That's our trend. Again, I'm not a big fan of shorts unless we can break this trend, and we're looking at that pattern there. So there's two potential plays we can watch: the break and retest long into new all-time highs, or the break and retest of this pre-market low, retest of that trend line, a short. Again, that's the same on ES as well. 667 is an area to watch for a potential bounce. 669, another bounce area here. Looking at SPX, we're going to have a bit of a gap up today into new all-time highs, most likely. So again, we don't want to be going short on ES if we are gapping up over into that level, because that could act as a bounce area. If we're looking for a long, we want to be above that area as well. So we don't want to be looking for a long if we are currently below that area today. So just watch that when the market opens. If we're looking for the opening range, we want to be above it as well for the break and retest long. Again, if we're looking for the bounce from the levels we were talking about, 6,700 psychological number, we want to be above this point of control, and we want to be above this yesterday's low for potential bounce. Ideally, we want to see them both do the same if we're looking at ES and SPY. NQ, let's put in a new all-time, is that new all-time high? Yep, just double checking. I know it's lagging behind a bit. Again, break and retest a pre-market high back into this zone for the long. That's all I'm watching. If we pull back, I do quite like this. Which zone? It's quite a tough area. Look at the volume to the left. We've got a volume shelf at the level, that area confluence. Yesterday's close area, potentially 25,180 for the bounce. And then massive volume shelf here, point of control running through that supply zone. Supply was the ceiling, now it's become the floor, as you can see there. We broke and retested it, broke and retested it again. So I do like this 25,140 down to 25,100 for a bounce, exactly where we bounced yesterday and in the pre and post market. And also you get back down to 2,500, 25,000 even. That's a, also you can see the big green zone, but this is a big psychological number, and it's another bounce area. Let's see what volume looks like when we zoom out a bit. 25,000, a little bit of a volume shelf above, and then we've got our main areas away from that, so I'm not even going to look at that yet. QQQ, if we can get above pre-market high, come back and retest. I like it for a break and retest long. Again, strong uptrend. Look at that, we're holding that uptrend line. Again, I like the bounce down at yesterday's low, 65.05 to 65.06 for the bounce. Maybe 65.06 actually, yesterday's low. Do I like this area? Potentially this area confluence. Yesterday's close, 608 area for potential bounce, 607.69. We're going to do that with confirmation as well. Lots of confirmation. Oil. What are we looking at? We came into this area, I said keep an eye on this area, it's a key area. So we held it a few times, point of control runs through that area as well. That's around 61.74. So level I've had marked up for a long time. Look at that yellow dashed line, happens to be right where the volume is. We bounced off it a few times, came back, we broke it, we retested it and lost it. Came back, we retested it and lost it. You could say we retested and lost it a few times and just travelled sideways along that area. We're now back down below that area, so I do like that area for the rejection. 67.74 would be a good rejection. Are we looking at a head and shoulders pattern? Depends what you're looking at. You know, I like to see head and shoulder patterns like this one at the top of a trend, not really at the bottom of a trend. Is this our left shoulder? Is this our head? Are we putting in our right shoulder? And then we're going to continue down. That'll be trend continuation. One thing to note, let's look at the daily. We've got a big, I just drew this in yesterday. Get rid of that, that's out of normal. There we go, and it looks better if we do that. You can see we've got this baseline from that pivot area there. We held it a few times. Once, well, there we broke out and retested it. Retest, 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 all those retests, look at that. And we came back into it more recently, beginning of the year. We're yet to get back down. Could this be a potential target area? We're breaking that region there. I'll zoom in on that in a second. Could we potentially look for a short swing back down into that 53, 50 area potentially? And what's that, 52, 55, 53 area? Let's zoom in, see what it looks like closer. We've got this region which we've broken down. We came back and retested. I do quite like the shorts down here right now. Again, I don't know. These fair value gaps are not part of my strategy. It's there for informational purposes only. But it happens to be a confluence area. Keep an eye on that. We already bounced on. Did we bounce on that area? Let's have a look. Yeah, potentially we bounced from that area already. So that's why keeping it there, because it could act as areas we can make ourselves aware of. If we're short, we can target the next area, the next zone, 58. Target the next zone, which I would do anyway, because these are areas of confidence. You can clearly see tops of pivots there, bottoms of pivots, and then broke through, retest. We hovered around that area. A little bit of volume there, so not a great deal. A little bit of volume on the next shelf below, and we've got pivots there as well. So these are areas I'll be looking for potential targets, or at least bounces, or at least areas if I'm looking for a swing short to take profit. And then we've got this region here. Obviously I've drawn that in. Could be anywhere around 53 down to 50. That's a region to watch. Notice 50, that's a psychological number, a nice half number between 0 and 100. Obviously I know it's obvious, but sometimes these half numbers have a bigger reaction than say the 51, 52 or 55 would do. So just want to make that clear, you know, we are looking like we might want to break down a bit. We are below the point of control, below all this confluence, and we do have a lot of room with decreasing volume back down into that area before we could at least think about a bounce. I think that's it for oil. Let's go back to the hourly, see if there's any levels we can watch for today. The only area I like is what I just talked about, this yesterday's close area up here for the rejection, and that could be formulating this. I don't want to call it a head and shoulders pattern, because again I like it to see at the top of trends. Yeah, we could just be looking at this bear flag. That's basically what we're looking at right now. Notice the reducing volume as the price is coming back up. That's what we're seeing. And look at this, first time we've had a candle bigger than the previous few days. And so that's on that big red candle as well. So potentially that's a sign of weakness. So we want to try and find an entry if we can today. And that would be the increase in volume I talk about on the break and retest as well. Gold. Look at that, 4,000. We finally got to it. Had that level marked up for some time, you know, a long time ago, so keep an eye on that 4,000. That's a potential area to watch for a target if we're long. I do have some gold in my long-term portfolio. It's like I don't have massive amounts, just it's like a fraction, like 10% of my portfolio, not even that. So not looking at any signs of weakness. volume wise below average. Can't say I was looking at a reversal right now because it's very strong and it's a massive strong uptrend, but we are extended from the 50. Notice how we did pull back to that 50 and then put in that massive big push yesterday, so hopefully somebody took that long yesterday. I did say yesterday watch for the retest of that pivot, and that's exactly what happened. We do have some other retest areas to watch as well if we do pull back. For me, hard to go long right now, definitely hard to go short. I'm going to remain neutral. You could look for the break and retest of that previous day's pivot, similar to the previous day what we bounced from yesterday. So keep an eye on 4,000 break and retest. We have to break and retest on volume and above 4,000. That's all I'm watching for. Then you can watch yesterday's low for a bounce, big area of confidence. Notice the volume shelf there and the volume shelf around yesterday's area of confidence, yesterday's close, 39.84 RTY. Okay, so we talked about head and shoulders patterns. We've got this beautiful one here. That's an excellent one. I love that one. That's one of my favorites. That was out at the top end of a trend. We then put in a bit of a downtrend, and now we're in a bit of an uptrend. Not the best shoulder pattern, but is that a left shoulder? Is that a head slightly higher? Are we putting in a right shoulder? We don't know yet. But if we do, we've got our neckline 2490. 2,500, key number, psychological number. We are coming into that pre-market high, previous days. I'm not going to say it out loud. Fair value gap. Again, are these significant areas? I don't know. It's an area of confluence. But we do have this area of overhead supply and lots of liquidity. Look at all these topping tails, different to this day. We don't have any topping tails there, but we have topping tail, topping tail, topping tail, topping tail, indecision. So I do like this region. Again, I don't think we're not knowing it all-time highs, but 25.16, 25.14, let's watch for potential rejection in that zone. That will be a nice head and shoulders pattern if it does do that. Obviously, we've just come into that fair value gap. Try not to say it too loud and try not to influence myself on these levels on the chart, but look how we come into that and rejected it. If you're a scalper, it just seems to work. Let's see what happens. I do like the bounce around this yesterday's low. Well, that's a big pen. I think I've just zoomed in too far. 24.92 area for the bounce. Otherwise, on the larger picture, we've got that zone there, 24.80 for bounce, and then this zone, this big confidence zone. Notice where the volume shelves are as well, 24.670. And then just to have a look at the 1 day and go into the daily, that's our all-time highs up here. So 25.560, so we're quite far from it. So we know may not be over yet. So everything's putting in all-time highs. This is the only one which is not back to the hourly. YM, I know the market's open, so I don't trade for the first 15 minutes or so. Don't forget all those Fed speakers today as well. YM, I'll be very quick so we can just concentrate on what's going on. What have we got? We've got this downtrend forming. Coming into that pivot zone there. Yeah, the only place I like is bounces to keep this uptrend. I do quite like the bounce at pre-market low, 46.808 long. Maybe the break and retest a pre-market high to break that downtrend, but not a big fan of this at the moment. You'll see how it sets up in the next day or two. Looking at Bitcoin, are we looking at a inverse? A head and shoulders pattern. Again, I harp on about these a lot. Is this our right shoulder here? Is this our head? I do like this region here. It's a big confluence. We are in all-time high territory, and we're putting in potentially a right shoulder. Let's see what happens. We could just also be trend continuation. I'm pretty sure that 126.810 yeah was the previous all-time high. So we finally hit all-time highs on Bitcoin. If we pull back, we do have a volume shelf there. Again, I'm not going to talk about those green zones. We do have a volume shelf where we are now. Yesterday's low. And we do have a bigger volume shelf down here. This confidence area. So let's keep an eye on this. Excuse me, 121, all these key numbers area, 121, 117, that area's back. We've been talking about that a lot. And 125 potentially where we are now is a bounce unless we lose it. But 123 and 122 is a bounce area as well. But you know, we are in a strong uptrend. Don't really want to be looking for shorts. We're kind of holding that trend line at the moment. So let's see what happens. If we break pre-market low, potentially we could look for a rejection back down or wait for a bounce. And that's it. ES is at 68,000 on the dot by the looks of it. And let me just have a look and make sure my trading platform's set up. I've got my order buttons on. I did make an update yesterday on the order flow, because I noticed we were getting a bit of delay when the market opens, lots of data coming in. We might still be behind as well. 0931, 0934. Yeah, so I still need to optimize the footprints a little bit because they're a little bit behind. Just see if there's anything to watch. So we've got FOMC speaker at 10 AM and 5 past 10, so be wary of those times today. Again, 10:45, 11:30. So they're the times, key times to watch today. Make sure all my accounts are enabled, which they are. I've got 4 paid accounts with Apex, and I think that's 17 eval accounts I'm trying to build up. Some of them are pretty close. I had a losing day yesterday, 1 hour losing day, which is a bit annoying, but it is what it is. Took the opening range breakdown. It was up 1 hour, didn't take any profit off, and then it stopped me out for 1 hour. And then I walked away. Glad I did. There wasn't anything else was set up yesterday. Okay, well, I'm not going to be trading probably until at least 10 unless I see something spectacular set up. A+ setups for me only. We are just slightly above yesterday's high, yesterday's range, and we're coming into it. So let's see what happens. It's going to be a tough day with the Fed speakers. I just need to reset my Apex. Look at that, so I've just turned off my Apex feed. You see data still coming in, so it's really slow processing the incoming, so I need to cache this a bit better. So I'm going to work on that update today as well. I've been trying to optimize it, so it's doing a lot of analysis and it's analyzing probably 3 days worth. I don't need it to analyze that amount as well. So I'm just resetting my Apex connection. Nothing wrong with the connection, it's my order flow chart. I've added a load of updates to it recently. It's doing a lot more real-time analysis, and it's just giving a little bit of lag, so occasionally I just need to reset the data coming into it. And it's the tick replay as well, so I might just turn that off for real time. It just means I won't see previous data until I reload, which is not a big problem, because I'm only looking at recent. Let's turn that off now. I'm only loading 1 day's worth of order flow. You can see it's taken, that's why, you know, it's literally calculating the order flow all of the absorption zones, all of the exhaustion, the stacked imbalances, the aligned imbalances. And it's also trying to cache all of the data that's come in, and it's doing it all real time with new data. Every time there's new data coming, it's caching it all. So got to do something a bit more clever with the code to enhance the speed a bit. Also, my machine needs a reinstall, so it's probably not running as best it could. Things are taking a lot longer. I've got a brand new SSD drive to go in, a much faster one as well. And that's when you use the same machine for development, for everything, trading. I could do with separating them. Flick over to that one. This has got more up-to-date order flow. So what am I seeing at the moment on the footprint charts? We're seeing a lot of absorption up here. You can see that because you've got big numbers on the bid and the ask, massive numbers. With, look at this area here, massive numbers on the bid and ask at the same time. So we're either going to absorb all the sellers and the buyers will take control, or the buyers are going to exhaust the sellers and then they're going to take control. Sitting at that key area now, that's 68,000 is a key area. So potentially, you know, there could be a lot of profit taken up there. Big topping tails on the 15-minute. So there's that big buying bubble there, but with no follow through. So definitely being absorbed by the sellers. And lack of interest at the top here. You know, we've got 10 orders on that footprint, we've got 64 on that footprint. We had a lot of buyers there, so 283, and then go across the other side, 346, and now we've got 2. So just keep an eye on that area. 6801. Remember earlier we had a large order sitting at 6804. It's gone now, but that might come back. But you know, the fact we've only got 2 buyers sitting there, that means potentially that order 346, someone was selling, and then there's only 2 contracts left which sold off, or which were bought. I meant, sorry. That's why footprint charts are great, because you get to see what's going on in the market. You know, you can't see this on a normal candlestick. You can see lack of interest now from the buyers up in this area who were initially interested. But we're just, looks like Christmas tree at the moment. Green, red, green, red, green, red, green, red. There's no interest at all to me. Or there's no trading of any interest up here at the moment. There's nothing. And then potentially this is absorbing, we should see it sell off. could scalp right now. Pretty confident there's no more interest at 68.01. Here we go. And then we can look at the sellers now. You know, I don't think there's much interest from the buyers up here. And the sellers now, look at these. We've got quite a few big selling orders coming in on the footprints. This is on the bid. When you see big orders, big selling orders coming in down here, you know there's more interest from the sellers. Again, here we had 67, 67, hardly anything from the buyers on that side. So the sellers were definitely in control. We've got these stacked selling imbalances as well. We got down here again 174, 47. Look at this, 376, 209. So the buyers came in, just held that area and absorbed the sellers for a bit. And now we've taken out those levels with big interest from the sellers. 355 more sellers, only 56, 75 sellers and buyers in that area. Big negative delta there, 1,413. That's a big aggressive sell candle. You can see all the selling. Look at that, all on the left. 600, 500, 500, 600, 300, or 400, 500, 400. And then on the right you've got 200, 200, 500, 200, 200. Nowhere near as much. So definitely the sellers were outweighing the buyers up here. Again, the key area was this area here. We had two buyers interested at 68.01 when originally we had 346 buyers up there, and 283, 501, and then suddenly it just died. There are two left, two more buyers, and then it sold off. So if I was a scalper, you could put your stop at the high of the day or even above that two. 68.01.25 maybe, that's 68.01.50, and then you could have just scalped. What's that, 5 points? Oh, Bitcoin is putting in that right shoulder we just talked about. Just said that, keep an eye on the head and shoulders pattern. It's right at a bounce point now, area of confluence. While we were talking, I did take a quick scalp short on NASDAQ on my top step account. Top and tail, into just when my stop just above a point of control. Only a scalp, it's $100. Okay, so watching the point of controls. Look at this. So maybe the buyers are coming back now. We've got a negative 13, which is pretty neutral. There's no real buying imbalances yet. The 15-minute opening range, by the way, has been formed. 68, which is this area here. 68, was it 02, just below that area there, and 67.94, this area below. So it's just slowing right down now, the footprint chart. So definitely need to sort out these what do you call it? The slight lag. There's a bit of a lag which I'm aware of, which I'm going to sort out. And that's because of the analysis it's doing. It's doing other stuff as well, which I've not yet spoken about, but it's running in the background to the point where all the levels I just talked about, you know, the 2 up here, the 4 here, lack of interest in the buyers will be all analysed, and it will give you buy and sell signals. That's what I'm looking to develop, make it semi-automated as well. You know, no reason not to have a semi-automatic selling footprint algo running, because you've got all that information in front of you. Again, we are now seeing multiples of, so we've got minus 301, minus 427, minus 13, that's a neutral one, minus 600 almost. So we are starting to see a bit of a sell-off. What was our opening print again? That area there, that's our ORB. That's our ORB short. We're right in the middle at the moment, coming into it. So we're still right in that ORB range. No trades, but we have been effectively analysing the order flow, pretty much predicting this sell-off based on what we've been seeing. I should have recorded this. This will be a great tutorial video. I might rewind it later, capture this section, put it as a video later, because it's literally playing out exactly as we analysed. So just a recap, we had on the draw some rectangles in. So we had just 2 people interested up there, buyers. Before that we had 346 aggressive buyers. Before that we had 283. Before that we had 593. So we had a load of aggressive buying at that level. Then suddenly we had no interest at all from the buyers. So that is our what do you call it? Our anomaly as such. And then down here we've still only got 4 aggressive buyers. And then we can look at the selling. So we can know we've had aggressive sellers coming in there, and then going back we had aggressive sellers coming in here, and when you look at the buying side there's less buyers interested down here, and then we had some aggressive selling coming in here with less buyers interested here. Aggressive selling there, we have 334, 194, 47. We had 86 and 57, 257 buyers there. So it's very interesting seeing the order flow play out like this, and that's how we can put in our stop up the top of here, 68.01. That's our stop. We could have entered when we saw lack of interest on this candle, maybe the break of that candle, or even a pull back into it. So this is our risk, and our reward would have been down here, more than 1R. You know, we could. So let's just zoom out a bit and make it. So we could have put our rectangle, that could have been our stop just there for this trade. So our stop, our entry could have been, say, the break of that candle, and then so this will be our risk, and our reward could have been, we could have targeted the bottom of that opening range. Let's see if we hit target. So that'll be 1-to-1. And this is the bottom of the opening range here, so that's our opening range, the top and bottom. and we could have taken profit down here, 67.93 area. We don't have any large orders in that area, so the opening range is the first key level to watch for. And then we don't have any large orders above. So below this is our 2-minute candlestick chart, and this is our cumulative delta. Aggressive selling, you can see this. So we've got this aggressive selling coming in here, no interest from the buyers whatsoever. So if we were short, we'd be doing okay. I'm not short, by the way. I said I did take a short on Nasdaq, which has shown similar properties to what we're seeing here. But I use a 15-minute chart on my top step account for that, so it's a bit different to this. My Apex, I'm on the I'm on the 5-minute and 15-minute chart. I trade off the 5. So we're still getting close. We're pretty much at our opening range low. So you could take profit off at this point. Maybe wait for it to break the low of that candle there. What's that? 67.93 would be our target. See if we can get into that area. We do have news coming up at 10, so that'll be a great target to get out of as well. News at 10. So still looking good. Aggressive selling coming in, as you can see from down here. So I have no reason to be coming out of my trade just yet until it hits that target. There we go, target acquired. That's right smack bang 67.93.50. So keep an eye on that target. So that would have been a great trade. So that's just an example of how you can use order flow to scalp a reversal. Basically looking at, let's clear all that, looking at when the sellers were definitely exhausted. I mean, when the buyers are exhausted and the sellers take control, using aggressive selling. Look at that, we've still got aggressive selling coming in now. This could be ending volume right now, all that aggression coming in at the bottom there. So potentially we can see a bounce coming through that area. What we're looking for, if we want to see if it's aggressive buyers coming out, we want to see some aggressive buying come back in. And then we want to see on the order flow, let's just zoom in a bit more. We want to see a little bit of, we want to see a change of delta basically. So we've still got 2 at minus 300 at the moment. That's what we're looking for, and a change of delta to confirm the bottom. And you could even just scalp this then. Again, I don't scalp, it's just making observations. So what we're looking for, we're looking for selling to get exhausted. We've only got 71 sellers down here now, 142 buyers, so we know there's more buyers. We've got, look at this, we've got some stacked buying coming in now. So we know we've got some interest from buyers. Got stacked buyers up here. And what that means is we've got more aggressive buying than sellers for that price level. Here we go. Seeing a bottom tail. So we know that's aggressive buying coming back in, a bottom tail. You don't see it as a green candle unless it opens on as a candle. But bottom tails are basically aggressive buying. Topping tails are aggressive selling. But overall, the trend's looking pretty weak because we put in a high there, put in a lower high there, taking out that low there, so we're putting in a lower low, only just taking it out, but we have. And the key here was what we said earlier, lack of buyers at that level, we saw these aggressive buyers come in there, but with no follow through on the buying side. So we know there's no interest from the buyers at that point. Big wide range aggressive selling there. So definitely sellers are still in control. The buyers did try. You can see that there, with no real follow through just yet. And look, so we filled in, so we've got the sellers are back there. We know we've got sellers, we've got 0 sellers there, no 0 buyers, nobody interested down there. So now, I don't like looking at current candle because it's just filling data still, but we've got just 33 buyers at the bottom of that candle, paired with 257 above buyers. First bit of green we've seen for a while. I'm probably going to call it a day now. I'm going to be watching for the breakdown of this opening range for a short. I'm still short on Nasdaq, which is doing okay. I'm looking for a candle to break and close below that opening range, that 15-minute opening range, and then I'm looking for the entry on the break of that breaking candle. It's got to be on increasing red volume. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so I will be back tomorrow at 9 AM. Hopefully you found some value on this little quick footprint tutorial. Let me know, or hit the like button if you found value on it. Let me know any comments. And I notice a little bit of delay now on my platform. My NinjaTrader's a bit behind, so I need to sort that out. Time for a PC reinstall soon. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow at 9 AM. Thank you for watching and trade safe.